Katt Williams wasn't just ranting for attention, he was dropping bombs that people weren't ready for. This time, his target wasn't just the industry at large, it was Beyonce. According to Katt, the queen herself is keeping her mouth shut about something that could completely flip the script on how people view Jay-Z, DMX, and the twisted power plays that run behind the scenes in the music business. See, this all goes way deeper than rap beef or record deals. Katt claims Beyonce knows the real reason why DMX is no longer here. And not only does she know, she's allegedly covering it up to protect her husband. Now let's rewind. DMX wasn't just another rapper trying to get on. This man was the industry for a solid stretch. 5 #1 albums back to back to back to back to back to back. Nobody had ever done that before. Not Jay, not Nas, not even Eminem. DMX had the raw energy, the pain in his voice, and the kind of loyalty from fans that money can't buy. But somehow, despite all that dominance, his career started tanking the moment Jay-Z became president of Def Jam. Coincidence? Not according to Murd3r, Jay's former right-hand man. He swears Jay was threatened, not inspired, not motivated, threatened. So instead of collaborating, Jay allegedly started sabotaging. Quiet moves, album delays, pulled promotions, that kind of sabotage. Now imagine this. DMX is at the top, ready to drop his 6th album. He finishes the record, even shoots the video for the lead single. Jay calls him up like, yo, you good? Finish strong. Then radio silence. No updates, no rollout, no nothing. DMX goes on the radio and vents, saying he felt like Jay just left him to rot. Said he didn't need special treatment, just treat him like everybody else, but apparently that was too much to ask, and here's where it starts to get dark. People who were there say Jay wanted DMX out the picture because he couldn't control him. While most artists were either kissing the ring or playing the politics game, DMX wasn't with any of it. He never bowed, never played submissive. That made him dangerous in a system that rewards obedience. And if you believe Katt Williams, that's exactly why Jay pulled the plug. Not just on his career, but on him. Katt says he reached out to DMX because he saw himself in that struggle. Same blackballing, same rejection for speaking out. Katt's been very public about how Hollywood tried to humiliate him for not going along with certain agendas, especially the one involving that nasty Santa scene in Friday After Next. He refused to do a joke scene that involved assault, called it out in front of everybody, and the moment he did, things changed, the roles dried up, the invites stopped coming, just like they did for X. But this whole story takes a sinister twist when you look at what's being said about Beyonce. According to multiple sources, she knows what really happened to DMX. And worse, she may also know about other shady moves Jay's made over the years. People are now digging into lyrics from her song Daughter, where she talks about someone bleeding on her couture dress in a bathroom. Sounds like art until you realize it mirrors the scene where Jay's alleged pregnant mistress, Kathy White, was found dead, reportedly from a brain aneurysm, but conspiracy theorists aren't buying that. And then there's Jaguar Wright. She went off during an interview claiming Jay and Beyoncé have done way more behind closed doors than the public knows. From holding people hostage to covering up deaths to manipulating campaigns like surviving R. Kelly, Jaguar said it all connects back to the Carters. You could brush her off as unhinged if she wasn't naming names and dates with such brutal precision. So when Katt says Beyoncé is holding the truth, he's not just speculating. He's saying the silence is strategic, and that until she talks, DMX's story will remain buried deeper than anyone's ready to admit. Jay-Z didn't just play chess with people's careers, he allegedly flipped the whole board when someone refused to play by his rules, and nobody was a louder no than DMX. According to Murd3r, Jay wasn't just insecure about X being a better rapper, he was flat out jealous. The man watched DMX light up the streets, top the charts, and gain loyalty Jay could never buy. And that burned. Irv said Jay would straight up ask, "You think he's better than me?" And it wasn't a rhetorical question. Jay wanted reassurance that he was the guy. But when everyone in the hood related more to X's broken growl than Jay's billionaire bars, that answer got more uncomfortable by the day. What really stings is the story about the trio album that never saw the light of day. DMX, Jay-Z, and Ja Rule were supposed to drop a joint project, 3 Titans on one record. Ja was in, X was down. But Jay? Suddenly suddenly not so interested. According to Irv, Jay backed out because he couldn't handle being lyrically outshined. Imagine being so scared of getting bodied on a track that you'd rather kill the entire project. That's not strategy. That's ego with a god complex, and it's that same ego people believe led Jay to isolate, erase, and eventually outmaneuver DMX to the point of no return. But let's not forget, DMX wasn't perfect. He had demons, addiction, pain, trauma, real stuff. But here's where it gets wild. The narrative being pushed was that X spiraled out all on his own. Labels didn't want to invest in him. Radio stopped spinning him. People called him unstable. But when you dig a little deeper, you realize none of that started until Jay stepped into power. Before that, DMX was the golden child. After, he was a liability. The switch was too clean, too sudden. Meanwhile, Beyonce stayed out of all the public mess. But insiders say she knew everything, not just about DMX, but about other incidents. See, this isn't the first time Jay's been linked to dark rumors. Kathy White's death? Still shady. She was reportedly pregnant with Jay's child and suddenly died of a brain aneurysm. Pathologists called it natural, but people who knew her said she was healthy, happy, and just about to go public. Then there's the weird confession-style lyrics from Beyonce that sound way too specific to be metaphor. Blood on couture, bathroom attendant, fan helping her clean up. If that's just creative writing, then someone needs to explain why the timelines match up too well with Kathy's case. Even Jaguar Wright threw gasoline on the fire, accusing Beyonce and Jay of silencing victims and using their power to cover tracks most people can't even see. According to Jaguar, she personally knows victims still too afraid to come forward. She's not just speculating, she's naming names, linking events, drawing lines nobody else dares to draw. And when you really sit with it, it starts feeling less like conspiracy and more like a horrifying possibility that everyone's too scared to say out loud. Now, Katt Williams? He's not scared of anything. Dude's been blackballed, attacked, mocked, and he's still standing. He's called out the industry for years. But this DMX thing, it's personal. He said he related to X because they both got punished for keeping it real. And that's why when he talks about Beyonce allegedly hiding the truth, people listen, not because he's perfect, but because he's been right before. About Weinstein, about shady deals, about who pulls the strings. And if he's right this time, it means one of the biggest power couples in the industry isn't just sitting on secrets, they're sitting on bodies. Katt Williams didn't stumble into this narrative out of nowhere. He's been collecting stories, facts, whispers, receipts that the industry hoped would stay buried. For decades, he's been watching powerful people make others disappear. Not literally in every case, but reputation-wise, career-wise, blacklisted into silence. So when DMX died under strange circumstances after years of alleged industry sabotage, Katt knew it wasn't just another tragic fall. He saw the pattern, the same pattern that almost ate him alive. DMX had enemies in high places, and they weren't just execs pushing paper. They were artists turned gatekeepers, people like Jay-Z who had access, authority, and the ability to make calls that could either save or sink you. And Jay didn't just ignore DMX, he allegedly went out of his way to break him down. Former friends like Irv Gotti say it plain. Jay saw DMX as a threat, not a collaborator, not a brother, a threat, one who refused to kneel, one who outshined him, one who made the mistake of standing tall in a business that rewards submission. The scariest part, according to those speaking out, DMX never folded. He never played the game, and that, some believe, is why his life was constantly under siege. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. People around him say the man never got the help he deserved because the industry didn't want to help. They wanted him to vanish, quietly, preferably with no mess, and when that didn't work, when he kept speaking out, kept calling out the fakeness, the drugs were made easy to reach, the media was weaponized, the system did its thing. Jay, of course, has denied any wrongdoing. He's spoken publicly about respecting DMX, about the love and history they shared, but the stories that keep surfacing don't sound like love. They sound like rivalry, manipulation, and erasure. And Beyonce, she stays silent through it all. Untouched, unbothered, but people like Katt and Jaguar Wright say that silence is intentional, not passive, strategic. See, there's this growing theory that Beyonce has dirt on her hands too, not just metaphorically. People point to her lyrics, her controlled image, her eerie ability to avoid scandal despite being so close to it. And then there are the stories, the ones that say she's not just protecting Jay, but actively cleaning up behind him. The Kathy White situation? Some claim Beyonce knew, maybe even acted. And when her song lyrics seem to confess to a violent bathroom scene, people don't see that as art. They see it as arrogance, a flex. Like she's daring the world to figure it out. Jaguar Wright went further, saying there are thousands of potential victims tied to this couple's empire. Women who were silenced, people who were paid off, others who just disappeared. And the craziest part? She claims the same financial machine that helped put R. Kelly behind bars was backed by Jay to settle personal scores. Not for justice, for revenge. All this paints a picture of a world most people never see, a world where chart positions are bought, loyalty is enforced, and silence is golden, where if you don't play your role, you're either erased or replaced. And the few who try to speak, like DMX, like Katt, they get labeled unstable, difficult, crazy, but maybe they're just telling the truth. So now the question isn't just, was DMX sabotaged? The real question is, how many others have been? And how far are these industry giants willing to go to keep that list from growing or from ever being exposed? Katt Williams may be messy, he may be wild, but he's not lying for clout. He's seen too much, heard too much, survived too much, and if he says Beyonce knows the truth about what happened to DMX, maybe it's time the rest of the world started listening.